the hardest part of that ring.
For the hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 160 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where some friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Adam and I'm joined today by Sam.
Heyo.
Thank God Sam is here because otherwise I'd be struggling to put this episode together. And I'm also joined by John.
Hello.
Hello. No Brett today. As everybody's aware, Brett is a busy boy. He might be taking a little time off the pod, but it doesn't matter because the three of us have got this covered. We're here to do The Undertaking, which we'll get to shortly. The last podcast we did was a couple of weeks ago. It was the last ever summer quiz. Oh,
Are we 100% committed to that? I mean, presumably we are for saying it on the pod.
well, we were just chatting before and we realised that we're going to have to basically do the autumn quiz on the next episode. So I don't think we can fit 4 quizzes a year.
Yeah, no, fair point. I want to derail the pod with a non-wrestling related question.
Oh, okay.
All right. So this is an ethical quandary for me. Earlier on today, I took my cat to the vet.
Okay.
Okay. And you guys are also
Normal.
cat owners, so this is why I bring it up with you, because I want your opinion. And the vet was like, your cat is fat, yo. He needs to lose some weight.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, okay, so put him on a diet? And the vet goes, maybe not. It just reduces food by about 10%. And
That's
I'm
not
like,
much.
I don't really want to be like waking up and first thing I do is work out what 10% less of what I'm currently feeding my cat is, all that. That sounds like a nightmare. So I'm thinking of doing like a cat version of the 5 and 2 diet where once a week I just don't feed him.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
No.
Bad idea.
No.
No?
You'll just have an angry cat attacking you.
Yeah, on
I
that
mean, he
day.
already attacks me.
Oh, but could you imagine how bad he's going to be?
Is it cruel?
I think it
You
is
won't get
cool.
any sleep. You won't get any sleep. You'll just have. I don't know how you sleep. Does the cat join you?
No. He's in the living room, locked away from me, and I'm in my
Meowing.
bedroom. Yeah, he can meow all day. I can't hear him.
Scratching at the door.
Yeah. So no to starving my cat once a week.
No, I don't think it's a good idea, mate. Also, if you only have to reduce his food by 10%, it feels like he can't be that fat.
He's
Yeah.
not, but he's on the road. I've seen it happen to myself, so I
Fat cats are adorable. Just lean
I'm
into
afraid
it,
for
I'd
him.
say.
just keep making him fat.
Cats can't get diabetes, can they? Nah, I'm sure they can't.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
dear.
We can re-rail the pod now. Thank you for your sage wisdom, fellow cat owners of the pod.
Well, thanks for that, Sam. That was truly fantastic. And I like to think that people who listen to all the Undertaking episodes in order will enjoy that. We'll enjoy that in years to come. And maybe on the next Undertaking, we'll hear an update on your cat. Maybe that could be an exclusive Undertaking thing.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe
Good
not.
idea.
Could you try and weigh your cat before the next pod, Sam?
Well, I know how much he weighs now. So
How much?
He's 5.2 kilograms.
No idea if that's
I mean,
bad,
I
yeah,
don't
I mean-
think he's meant to be 4.7, and I'm like, man, that's not a lot.
Maybe it's just having a bad day, you know? We all have those little, like, bloaty days.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, we were supposed to be getting this back on track.
Oh, sorry, back on
Because-
track. Back on track, guys. Come on, keep with it.
Because this podcast is The Undertaking, Volume 9. What is The Undertaking? People are always asking themselves that. Sam,
Well, thank
tell
you.
us.
Thanks, Adam. I really appreciate you asking me that. The Undertaking is a retrospective review of the pay-per-view events The Undertaker has participated in. It follows his career from 1990 to 2020 and provides a snapshot of the wrestling landscape at the time. Previously on The Undertaking. We would continue the journey of Undertaker versus Ted DiBiase's $1 Million stable, which does feel like it's been going on forever, doesn't
My
it?
God, oh yeah, I listened back to our old episode. I was like, I cannot believe. I feel like everyone he's been fighting has been in Ted DiBiase's stable.
It's, yeah, insane. And
Should we reference that the last time we did an episode was June? Last time we did an Undertaking, it's been...
it's
what's
not
that, 4
important.
months?
It's fine. And specifically, we were looking at his battle with the world's most famous accountant, IRS.
Is he? Can you think of a more famous accountant?
Then Owen R. Shyster? I don't think so.
No,
I'll give
I
you
don't
guys
think I
till the end
can.
of the podcast, and we can come back to that one. It gives
Isn't
you a bit
there
of
a
time.
Ben Affleck movie called The Accountant?
I mean, is that really more famous than IRS?
No, I don't think it is. Like, I haven't seen that movie. Who's seen that movie? No one's seen that movie.
Exactly. And following on from this, he would also run into one wrestler who, hardest part of the ring, officially deemed worse than Baron Corbin in King Kong Bundy.
Did you know that Mick Jagger, Janet Jackson, and Eddie Izzard all trained as accountants?
And yet IRS is more famous than him. Especially Mick Jagger. Who's he? If you want to go back and listen to us talking about IRS and King Kong Bundy, just go back to episode 151 and listen to us wax lyrical about an undead zombie wizard fighting a tax accountant. And it includes an amazing Undertaker fact from Brett, which I would say to this day is of dubious repute.
I can't believe how bad King Kong Bundy was back in that episode, by the way.
He was awful.
Oh, bad.
But today we move on to the dead man's next opponent, a man who is affectionately known by the pod by the name of Apocalypse Sausages. And that starts at King of the Ring 1995.
You're looking down on the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as seen from the cockpit of the WWF blimp. Captain Kerwin Silphy's in command, and they have a bird's eye view of the birthplace of the United States government. Yes, Philadelphia, the city where the Declaration of Independence was signed. But tonight, monarchy will reign, and a new king will be crowned. Just who will be the next WWF King of the Ring?
So before we continue, shall we just explain Apocalypse Sausages? It comes from our top 5 wrestlers to survive the apocalypse with. It is in fact referring to the man known as, well, Viscera, but at this point in his career, simply Mabel.
Was he relatively new into the...
He was. New into WWF. He kind of had been wrestling for about 3 or 4 years at this point, in a tag team called Men on a Mission with Mo. But Mabel, because of his size,
Big lad.
was getting the Otis treatment of basically being pushed outside of his tag team to be a huge success. See how that works out. And it starts at King of the Ring 95 for us. The Undertaker versus Mabel, accompanied by Mo, at the USF Sundome in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That is right. Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania, right? I think it is.
Sounds right.
Yeah. If you say something confidently enough, people will believe you. So for me, recapping the events leading up to Mabel versus The Undertaker is thankfully a very simple task, which is exactly what I was looking forward to with this. The Undertaker, taking a break from his fight with the $1 Million Man and his million wrestlers, just felt like basically entering the King of the Ring tournament.
Was this a surprise? Like, was this billed? Because the way the crowd reacted, it was as if they didn't know he was entering.
It was billed.
Okay.
There were qualifying matches to enter King of the Ring, and Undertaker defeated Jeff Jarrett on Raw about 4 weeks earlier. So, yes, he was billed for it, but it's a slightly strange match, actually. So, yeah, let's look back over it.
Well, the first thing I enjoyed was the fact that, and I don't think I've ever seen this before, Mabel got interviewed on his way into the ring.
Yeah.
That was
You
weird,
don't get
wasn't
that.
it?
Yeah.
We to get occasionally, but not very often. It's strange. And he's not necessarily the greatest talker in the world.
As he was coming down the ramp, it was just, yeah. And also it was by... I can't remember her name. But,
Stephanie.
Steph, yeah. I was. That's not the Steph, right?
No, it's not the most famous Stephanie in wrestling.
Yeah, but she was carrying out this interview, and it was as they were walking down the aisle. I just thought it was quite strange. But yeah.
Yeah, it was indeed. And then The Undertaker makes his entrance, earnless.
Earnless, of course.
Yeah, because Karma stole it, right?
Kama stole his urn and turned it into a gold chain. More on that later.
I didn't realise about the gold chain bit. That is a
Yeah.
baller
I wonder
move.
if that's on eBay. I would love that.
But no, so Undertaker and Viscera, Mabel get into the ring and face off.
First thing I thought, these two would make a great tag team just because they're colour coordinated with the black and the purple.
Oh,
The purple of Undertaker's gloves and boots is identical to the purple of Mabel's like romper suit.
Yeah, I mean,
What is quite sure what Mabel is wearing here.
It basically looks like a load of bin bags just sellotaped together.
I don't mind it. I think it looks all right. Maybe again because purple was very much, I mean, at that time. So where is this? 1995. I was 12, massively into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Purple, Donatello's my favourite. That kind of purple was great. So this match was great for me on a colour level.
Cool. I'm really glad to hear that.
Wrestling level, how was it for you on that level?
Well, the match begins. They have a bit of a face-off. Yeah. And then Undertaker just starts clotheslining.
And it looks great.
Old Mabel. And he's going for him. It looks really good. In fact, this match is all Undertaker at the beginning. He lands an old school, still not called an old school yet.
No, not yet.
I'm looking forward to when we eventually start referring to it as old school.
I don't reckon it'll be until like Michael Cole era.
I don't think it will either. I think he kind of removes it from his repertoire for basically the whole Attitude Era and then brings it back.
But and that's why it's old school. You bring it back, then it's an old school. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Lands a corner choke. Maple? He's like a maple tree. In that he's huge.
I think you can call him Maple because he probably eats a lot of pancakes.
Let's not like cast aspersions against the dead.
Okay, he doesn't because he's dead.
Okay, cool.
Got that out of the way.
Yeah,
but
nice.
Undertaker starts out the match pretty full on. He's going for it until Mabel basically knocks Undertaker out of the ring and he gets tied up in the ropes
Yeah, it gets his one leg stuck, right? I couldn't work out whether this was planned or whether this was
I don't think it was.
I thought it was until you saw Mabel trying to get his foot out, like trying to help him get his foot out, and you're like, okay, this wasn't meant to happen. But it looks great. Whenever that you get tied up how would you describe that? It's so weird, isn't it? It's like elastic bands. They get twisted, and then there's just no give. He just could not pull his foot out.
Looks really painful. You normally see it with like wrestlers' arms, don't you? Kind of getting tied up in the ring, and to see it with someone's leg is always a little bit like, did they want to do that? It looks kind of
especially
painful.
Someone that size, like it probably wasn't planned. Like I think they actually covered it pretty well. Like Mabel was putting a few kicks in to make it look like take advantage of it
for sure. The task of getting out of the ring, kneeing Taker in the chest, getting back into the ring, and then doing a belly-to-belly suplex absolutely gasses Mabel.
I know. After that belly-to-belly, there is one of the longest rest holds I've ever seen.
It is incredibly long. It's funny, before we watched this match...
Was it just a bear hug as well? Was that the rest hold?
It was a camel clutch.
Was it a camel clutch?
Yeah, he wants to sit down. That's how...
Was that when he was sitting on Undertaker?
Yeah. So before we watched this match, I looked at how long it was because I was like, okay, if it's a short match, I'll put a few matches into the running order. 16 minutes, I think it was.
No.
And I was like, that's a very long match. And now I realise it might have been the Karma match. Actually, that was 16 minutes. It was definitely longer than I expected it to be. And then I realised why it was so long. Mabel sits on Undertaker for about 5 minutes.
At least.
And now Mabel rocking back with all of his weight, all of his girth. Mabel unquestionably slowing down the Undertaker. A good look at the man who would be king. Look at the size of this man. Look at those arms. It's the size of a leg.
Can you imagine, Vinnie Mac? That is 568 pounds on your lower lumbar, which is the lower back. Pulling up on that chin.
I do remember thinking... I mean, that is probably the best thing to do if you're the size of Mabel. Like that, Taker can't get up from that. There's absolutely no way.
No, because he's like 568 pounds or something crazy.
Mabel is the fattest and biggest wrestler I've ever seen.
He's heavier than Andre the Giant, because Andre the Giant was 512 pounds.
I think Yokozuna?
I think he's bigger than Yoko.
You keep talking and I'll find out.
Absolutely.
Let me just close
huge.
this window of wrestling accountants or people who used to be accountants.
Thank you, Adam. Meanwhile, Mabel is recovering his energy Was he recovering his energy?
He's got a lot of
for?
reserves, to be fair to him.
He is recovering his energy for what is the sickest pile driver I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, actually. You got to take her up, delivers it. I thought, there's no way he's putting take away with a pile driver, but good, look good.
It did look good.
Huge pile driver, and it's absolutely devastating.
I would say the setup to it was pretty clunky.
Oh, incredibly clunky for a man of 560 pounds weight, yes.
Weight update, according to Google or Wikipedia, Viscera was 487 pounds, but so he was Viscera later, so maybe he was lighter, heavier as Mabel. Yokozuna, 589 pounds.
Oh,
I
Yoko
feel
was
like
bigger.
we missed a trick not having a Yoko versus Mabel match ever. And the thing is, like, do you ever see Mabel later into his career when he started the Big Daddy V gimmick?
Yeah.
Phew. I reckon he was probably knocking on the door of 600 at that point.
Yeah, I can't imagine that he lost weight between now and when he became Viscera. I think he probably just got bigger.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And the match continues. Both men fall from a shoulder barge. Essentially, the match begins with Undertaker dominating. And then the mid-match, it's all Viscera, all rest holds, and all kind of just generally chucking Taker around until Taker counters with a big old splash in the corner.
Actually, I think some of the turnbuckle stuff both these guys were doing, more so probably Taker, but even Viscera, they were really throwing themselves into those turnbuckles. And
They were.
And you could see the whole ring was like shaking.
Now, whilst no one wants Viscera to run into them, I think the idea of doing a giant splash onto... I called him Viscera again, didn't I? The idea of doing a giant splash onto Mabel seems like quite a fun thing.
I was thinking about this. Sure, like Mabel doing a giant splash on you, wouldn't that just be a bit like having a big beanbag chucked on you? Like all the weight would just spread perfectly.
It's 568 pounds.
Yeah, but most of that is like fatty tissue.
It's still 500 pounds.
I reckon that like splits down the middle, and you sort of
If
end
I
up
got a
engulfed
beanbag
in Mabel,
which weighed 500 pounds, it would still kill you.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't. Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, it might suffocate me, but I don't think it would kill me. I don't think it would squash me.
are we meeting up for Survivor Series?
Could you imagine how big the beanbag would have to be for it to be 500 pounds?
I know, the size of a house.
During all of this, the ref takes a bump and is down. And Taker lands a diving clothesline and then choke slams Mabel. Kind of.
I felt for Mabel at this point because he obviously had to try and sell that, take the bump,
Sure.
sort of jump off his feet and chuck himself onto the ground. And he landed right on his lower back. He didn't land like on the flat of his back. It was on his lower back, and then he smashes down. You think that's a lot of weight. And obviously at the back, you don't have the beanbag effect of the belly, so then it hurts.
This is kind of what I would call a late career Undertaker chokeslam. Except it was not very late into his career at all. It was 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Taker's fault here.
No, true.
Nobody can choke slam 500 plus pounds, I don't think.
However, whilst the referee is out, who turns up yet again? It's only Karma, the supreme fighting machine.
It feels like every pay-per-view match we have spoken about on The Undertaking ends with his next opponent rushing in.
Absolutely does.
It really does. This
So
whole
many times.
Ted DiBiase feud has basically just been the $1 Million Stable turning up and attacking The Undertaker. And so Karma turns up and kicks The Undertaker with what looks like quite a stiff kick, actually.
Also, as this is obviously Karma, do you reckon his run-in was actually meant to be 5 minutes earlier, but he just got it late?
Oh, man. I was looking at those tattoos as he came in. I was like, why? Why did you do this? Why did you dump the best gimmick of all time?
Mabel takes advantage of this, lands a big old leg drop and pins the Taker.
1, 2, 3. This match.
Easy as you like.
I didn't mind this.
Mabel advances in the King of the Ring, and for Taker...
I watched the final of this King of the Ring because it was Mabel versus Savio Vega, and Mabel wins and becomes King of the Ring.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about Summerslam in a minute. right at the start of that, the promo has Mabel with his crown on, and obviously he's got a title match. And I was just like, oh shit, he won! Wow.
It was quite a bold thing. So Mabel had a bit of an easier route anyway, because the other match in the King of the Ring bracket was Shawn Michaels versus Karma, which went
they
to
both got a limit.
I think it was a 15-minute time limit draw.
There was some bonkers booking in this King of the Ring. Like Yoko lost to Savio Vega, Undertaker lost to Mabel. Yeah, Shawn Michaels didn't get through.
It's insane, isn't it? Because like in another world, we could have had The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels as our next match to talk about. But no, we'd have to wait about 20 years for that. Or maybe less than that. I haven't really looked too far ahead with this. Karma, taking advantage of The Undertaker's loss, slaps him up a little bit. Taker sits up, and Karma walks away, kind of fearing The Undertaker, and Undertaker kind of chases him to the back.
I would say it's the sort of jog you do when you're trying to make it look like you're trying to catch the bus, but you're not that fussed about catching the bus. Like, you're going to be late for work, you're putting a little jog in just to make it look like, oh, I'm going to be late for work, I don't really care. That sort of jog.
Goes for it, can he get him up?
Oh, my goodness! The Undertaker! Oh, yes,
He did it! He picked up 568 pounds and chokeslammed him down.
And Mo takes a shot as well.
I am amazed. That's it, it's over.
Wait a minute, from behind. Kama coming in from behind a boot. And Kama to the outside. Mabel drops to left.
Oh, man.
And Mo trying to wake up the official. 1, 2, and he got it. I can't believe this. Mabel, thanks to Kama, has pinned the Undertaker. Look at this, Kama, right in the Undertaker's face.
I was quite relieved that nothing of note kind of happened during that bit, because I'd already grabbed the clip for the finish of the match, which we'll be hearing. We may have already heard, but yeah, less admin for me.
Beautiful.
Thought that was important to point out.
And so we go to the scoring.
Oh, I'm doing a scoring. Oh, this is a fancy new spreadsheet.
Of course. So, what are we scoring? The match and Taker's performance, as always.
So we'll start with the match. And I'm going to go first.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I'm going to give the match 2 out of 5. I thought it was a decent match. And I'll give The Undertaker 2.5 out of 5. I think this match was better than I expected it to be.
Sorry.
And I think kind of there were some moments in it that I really enjoyed. I think the pile driver alone got a point.
Did you say 2.5 and 2.5?
I said no. 2 for the match, 2.5 for the Taker.
Oh, okay. Adam, what's your score?
I'm going to go for 2.5 for the match. Liked it. As in, it was much better than I was expecting. Thought it would be absolute dog shit. And Taker, I'm going to give a solid 3.
Good lord. So I'm going to give the match 1.5. And I'm going to give... I didn't like this match as much as we love Viscera. And I'm going to give Taker a 2.
I was just happy to be watching some wrestling again and making some notes. It feels like a while since we've actually watched wrestling and that we're going to be talking about. And it's the nostalgia. Whenever we watch these old things, I think I get an extra point on everything I watch because it's just fun to watch old stuff.
I was going to say, the pile driver alone bumped the score up from a 1 to a 2 for me.
Yeah.
It was good, that power driver. Easily the highlight of the match. So that gives the match an average rating of 2 and Taker an average rating of 2.5.
And now we move on to what is my favourite moment of the pod. And Adam, you've got some big boots to fill here because Brett's fact last time was a pretty good one. So take it away.
Okay, I will. It's time, of course, for an Undertaker fact.
You want to hear an interesting
Undertaker fact.
You guys definitely already know this one, but I can't come up with hundreds of new facts all the time. But, guys, listener, did you know that The Undertaker main evented the very first episode of Monday Night Raw? All the way back in January 1993, The Undertaker beat Damien Demento in a match that lasted 2 minutes 26 seconds. bit of a weird choice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the card also contained Shawn Michaels versus Max Moon for the Intercontinental Championship. So you would have thought perhaps that may have been the main sort of headliner. But I think this was kind of... basically, Undertaker was a fucking massive star. A lot of the stars had defected to WCW, so they wanted to have one of their A-listers headlining. It's just weird that they chose a match against Damien Demento that only lasted 2 and a bit minutes.
Again, on a card where Shawn Michaels was as well.
I wonder if it had anything to do with the fact that it was the first ever episode and they'd overrun a little bit, and they're like, "Oh fuck, you've only got 2 minutes."
Oh, maybe.
Do you know what? I like to think that they had a 2-minute match and there was 2 hours 48 minutes of just adverts and promos and rubbish and dusty finishes, and it's basically the same as Raw is now.
Quite possibly. Anyway, there you go. That is your Undertaker fact.
You want to hear an interesting
Undertaker fact.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Sorry,
Please continue.
I'm sorry. Brett set the bar so high, you were never going to hit it, so it's fine.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. I don't want to peak too soon. We've got 100 pay-per-view matches left.
I also can't wait for Adam scrambling around for any bit of facts he can find in like 10 episodes time. Just like his real name is
black hair is not his natural colour.
Match 21 versus Karma, the Supreme Fighting Machine at SummerSlam 95. It is a casket match at the Pittsburgh Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Tonight, one man has foolishly entered a cryptic world of shadows and darkness.
Undertaker, I've taken your urn.
After the casket match, will he ever revel in the land of the living again?
I will put you in a casket and steal your soul.
I didn't know Pittsburgh and Philadelphia were in the same state, but there we go. I thought they were both states.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
We're learning a lot.
Yeah.
This is a factual podcast where we learn about cat diets and geography.
Geography plays a big part in this.
Raw. It's like an episode of Going to School. If that was an episode. That kind of got away from me there. Let's just bring this back. Charles Wright's wrestling journey up to this point in 1995 had been interesting to say the least. Having initially debuted in USWA and appearing in New Japan under the moniker of the Soul Taker.
Oh, that's a great name, that.
What a name. He rose to public prominence in 1992, taking on the persona of voodoo scary man Papa Shango.
Yes, OG. Or GOAT, if you want to.
A troubling character by today's standards, but let's move up.
Following a feud with Tatanka and a less than favourable general reaction to the gimmick,
Scandalous.
Charles Wright would leave WWF, going back to USWA.
Oh, shit, I never knew he actually left WWF. I thought he just hung around the backstage area just waiting to his new gimmick.
He had a lot of them, actually.
Yeah.
But he goes back to USWA and he wins their world title, but he was upset about the booking because he felt like it was done just to appease a predominantly black audience. And yeah, he was really... I think it really genuinely upset him. He left wrestling to focus on his bartending career.
Focus on a bartending career?
Yeah.
Focus on it. Okay.
It didn't last long. He came back to WWF in late 1994. And
every drink that he prepared was some thick black fluid that would end up pouring out of the person who'd ordered it eyes. They'd be writhing on the floor.
Oh, good Papa Shango joke, Adam. I like that.
The plan originally was for him to return as Papa Shango. And the whole idea was he was going to have been the cause behind Bob Backlund's recent insanity.
That would have been great.
That would make a lot more sense about the vignette in this pay-per-view.
So just before this matchup on the SummerSlam card, there is a vignette of Bob Backlund having gone off the absolute deep end.
I feel so sorry for Bob Backlund. I always feel like he's been like gaslighted by WWE his entire career.
It's not the first.
This was an absolutely insane promo, but it's slightly off topic. It turns out that the plans for Charles Wright to return as Papa Shango were completely nixed, and instead he would go on to debut under this new character, Kama, the Supreme Fighting Machine, who was a parody of UFC fighter Kimop Leopold.
Oh, was UFC around back in the 90s?
It had just started, so Kimop Leopoldo was headlining UFC 3, I think.
Oh, wow, okay.
It's a weird name, isn't it, Karma? Because when you first text us what the matches were going to be that we need to watch, I just thought, oh, he's fighting Kamala again, and you had just skipped.
Oh, I wish, good lord, yeah.
You just hadn't written the rest of it. I find it weird when they come up with names that are so similar to wrestlers that they still have or have only just got rid of. You know,
I mean, yeah, it's a weird one because like he holds this name for quite a while. Like, after he's basically done with Kama, the Supreme Fighting Machine, he goes on to become Kama Mustafa of the Nation of Domination. So,
yeah, I was going to say, if Kama's around here, it can't be long until Rock makes the first appearance in WWF, right?
You are indeed correct, sir.
How long after that did he have that gimmick where he can sort of like mold into the background of whatever background he's standing near? I think it was Karma, chameleon.
Oh, God. I was racking my brains there. Like, is this some weird gimmick I hadn't heard of? Was this pre-Godfather?
So we're going to remove Adam from the podcast. Meanwhile, Karma was quickly absorbed into Ted DiBiase's $1 million stable, and catching us up to where we were in the previous Undertaking, he would attack The Undertaker at WrestleMania 11, stealing his urn and melting it down into a sweet chain. Bit of foreshadowing there for his Godfather character.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, The Undertaker, now urnless, would have to turn to a new source of power. And The Undertaker's new source of power would come in his version of what are basically Hulkamaniacs, the Creatures of the Night.
Oh, yeah, these were the guys in the front row, right? The Addams Family looking motherfuckers.
Yep. And this is kind of incredible. I had no idea about this before I had watched this match. Like, this is just a part of The Undertaker's career that had completely skipped me by. Namely because after this we don't hear from them again, but...
They also look like... Have you seen Parks and Rec? You know, April's goth friend. That's always exactly in the background of Parks. They look so much like him.
So, the Creatures of the Night... Fascinatingly enough, the man Creature of the Night was wrestler Doug Basham of the Basham Brothers. He would go on to be a SmackDown Tag Team Champion. And perhaps more fascinatingly, no one really knows who the female Creature of the Night is. There's talk online. Some people think it was Stephanie McMahon. I don't think it was. Some people think it was a young Lita.
So was it just the pair of them the whole time? Because I thought it sounded as if they had different people for different events, but it was just two of them.
The pair of them were the main ones. They were bringing like a black wreath to the ring to mourn the loss of Undertaker's urn. But there were other Creatures of the Night who I think were just kind of crowd members who were kind of buying into the gimmick. Yeah.
Right.
Because they get beaten up, don't they, in the build-up to Summerslam?
Yeah, so bringing this black wreath to the...
Brock!
No, I can't edit that out, damn it. Bringing this black wreath to the ring to kind of mourn the loss of the urn, Charles Karma got a bit pissed off, destroyed the wreath, and then Creature of the Night Doug Basham would run into the ring to try and stop him, only to basically get double-handed chokeslammed, I think.
I wasn't the one you were going to say there for a second.
Oh, acting president, Gorilla Monsoon.
Oh, was he president?
Yeah.
Oh, why did we not get him on the pay-per-view?
I know, right? Instead we got fucking Doc Hendricks.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, we didn't even talk about the announced team, did we? Oh.
Doc Hendricks is like the Pat McAfee of the 90s. He's awful. But anyway, acting president Gorilla Monsoon would elect to turn this match into a casket match.
This time, you dug your own grave. And now I'm here to make sure that you lie in it. The crimes perpetrated against my creatures. That went over the line of what I can accept, what I can tolerate. The sands The sands have fallen slowly through the hourglass till this time. And now as the last one slides through, your day of reckoning is at hand. The day that you come face to face with all that is good and all that is evil. You look into the eyes of the Reaper, and you'll see that your fate is sealed. When this fateful night ends, you can rest assured that your soul will belong to me, and it will return to the dark side. Rest in peace.
Yeah, I was so happy when I saw that. I don't want any straight Taker matches. You know, when we're doing the Undertaking, I want some shenanigans, some crazy stuff to happen. And there was definitely plenty in this.
I mean, the thing is that the bar is set incredibly high with the Kamala casket match.
Yeah, I'm surprised they had any wood left.
And
this one was no way near as impressive, actually, this casket, was it?
No. It was a little shoddy. And at some points, the refs were literally holding it together.
Yeah. And so, the match begins. And can I just say, off the bat, it is really nice to actually see Undertaker fighting someone who is not 600 pounds and can actually move around the ring.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that good, though.
I actually am surprised at the size of Karma.
Yeah, actually, I didn't think he was actually taller than Taker, wasn't he?
He is huge. And for a wrestler who spent his whole career in the mid-card, lower to mid-card, he is a big old unit.
Yeah.
And he knew how to take a clothesline.
Yeah.
Like really early on in the match, a huge clothesline, really fucking smashes into Karma, and he takes it really nicely.
Legitimately, Charles Wright as a person, I think, is possibly one of the hardest people I've seen in wrestling. He definitely looks like one of the old school style wrestlers who's just like, the best way to fake it is just to hit them for real.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is always talked about as one of the sort of tough guys backstage around this period.
You can see it. He's really...
Yeah, I mean, because when you said he returned to focus on his bar career, I mean, I think he was a bouncer, wasn't he, for a large part of his career? So he's used to...
He was, in fact.
Beating the shit out of idiots.
In a fun, weird twist of fate, I believe currently he now owns a strip club and D'Lo Brown is his bouncer.
No way, D'Lo.
I'm not sure if that's entirely true, though.
Am I right in thinking you've always had a bit of a soft spot for D'Lo Brown, Sam?
I love D'Lo Brown.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his music. Not his music as in he sings, just his entrance music. And he's got that really cool taunt as well. You know, and he shakes his head around. It's great. Love D'Lo Brown.
Charles Wright is only 60. He's still very much alive, yeah.
Yeah.
He has 4 children. And his ring names have included Baron Samedi, the Godfather, the Good Father, Karma Mustafa, Papa Shango, Pimp Father, Rocky Las Vegas, Sir Charles, and the Soul Taker. 6'6".
Oh, I thought he was taller than that.
Interesting. Maybe they're just not billing the Undertaker's height correctly.
Just off the top of my head, all that.
The match starts and Taker goes in striking and throws Karma into the turnbuckle. And this is probably one of the more physical matches I think we've seen Undertaker in to this point.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And the Undertaker himself, you're starting to see a bit of a change in style in these last few matches as well. He's used to be this undead zombie who would stoically just walk towards your opponent and just keep going. And now we're starting to see the first kind of striking sort of background and a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more traditional wrestler.
And a bit of pace. You know, when he's running the ropes and when he's in full flight, there's nothing like it, I think.
For sure.
He's such a big guy. Seeing him flying around, especially when he's doing his flying clotheslines, it just looks great.
100%.
Very dynamic in this match, actually.
He did. I thought he was actually looking quite lean in the match as well.
Yeah.
Like, this is definitely, I think, some of the healthiest Undertaker we've ever seen so far. And kind of...
Partly because they've laid off some of that like ghoulish
corpse makeup
and the purple eyes. Yeah. So he looks slightly less dead. Although when he was being choked in this or the match before, he looked pretty awful. But yeah.
Indeed. And so, Undertaker goes in strong, lands some strikes, lands a double-handed choke, and it looks pretty good. He picks up Karma and chokes the life out of him.
Yeah, holds him up in the air.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it's really cool. By his throat.
And then chucks Karma out of the ring, over the top rope and onto the coffin. And
With the lid still up.
this is a strong start from The Undertaker. He lands a current school, since we're not calling it an old school, and when the coffin is opened, we are treated to coffin cam.
Coffin cam.
I never quite saw why this was there.
This was done because they could.
I thought it was good. Like,
Well, there's a bit later in the match where they both end up in a coffin, and they don't use the coffin cam then.
Yeah.
Or at any point when anyone's actually in the coffin.
a couple of times when they get thrown in there. I was excited because I thought there were a few times when I was looking around thinking, look how primitive this used to be. Like the railings around the ring holding back the fans are legit just metal railings that you get in a car park or something. And so having a casket cam was huge.
I think, it's a big shout for 95.
Yeah. I was impressed. I liked it. But I see what you mean. We missed a cut. I mean, obviously later on when they're both in there, which we'll get to, we didn't get to see what they're doing. But that's probably because they were chatting. Being like, right, now you need to do this and you need to do this.
There's a handful of times in this match you could see them having a bit of a chat.
Yeah, I think this is the first casket match I've seen which had so much of the fighting in the casket. Like I felt like both men were in that thing for quite substantial periods of time during this match.
Yeah. And on top of it. It was breaking.
It's halfway through the match. Taker goes for a crossbody splash, and Karma catches him.
Yeah,
and slammed him, and that is like, whoa.
Yeah,
that's a
cool.
big catch.
That is.
Taker sells it with a sit up, which is always a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, what we should have done is started a count on match one. Taker sit-ups.
Oh,
imagine like how many he's done in his career. If any of you want to go back and do that, then we'll send you a t-shirt because I can guarantee nobody's going to do it.
And also, if you can advise on cat diets, I would be most grateful.
Also, this is where a listener sends us an email and says, "Oh, he's done it 10 times," and we believe them and send them.
Yeah, we're not going to be doing the legwork to check that. Karma lands an axe kick. I'm just throwing it out there. Just a pretty sick axe kick on back of Taker's head. You don't see enough axe kicks in wrestling.
Yep.
And as Karma is beating up Undertaker and DiBiase gets stuck in, Paul Bearer, the hero, Paul Bearer, for probably the first time I think I've ever seen, loses his shit, chucks off his jacket.
Very lively in this, actually, wasn't he?
And decides he's going to get stuck in. And the crowd pop hard for this as well.
The crowd were really hot for this whole match, actually. Them chanting RIP is a bit weird, but...
Yeah, the rest in peace chant is a bit of a weird one that's developed over the last two matches.
Yeah.
Just when you think you got him finished up, he rises up.
But yeah, I feel like maybe the crowd could also sense that we were finally approaching the end of the Ted DiBiase feud.
Are we, though? I feel like we've said that before.
No. I've looked ahead.
And in runs Virgil.
Don't panic your wonderful hair, John.
Actually, yeah, Virgil's the only one we haven't seen, I think.
And there's chaos on the outside, and at one point in time, Karma lands a pretty sick suplex on Taker onto the coffin.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool. It was a nice spot. And the coffin, I don't know how it stayed together. It
just
was bending. The rest of there were just desperately like holding it together. The bit of it actually did fall off, didn't it? Like the inner lid bit fell off.
The velvety inside of the lid panel, that bit came off, and I think at one point the refs had to get rid of that because at one point it was like up on its side, which was preventing the casket from being able to close. So they had to deal with that pretty quick.
And so Taker being suplexed onto this coffin, sweet irony. Karma now can't open the coffin because the Undertaker is basically sprawled out across it. And Taker fights back, and then Karma lands a power slam, and then he goes for a pin. And there's no count.
Like that.
Yeah,
always love that.
So good. I love it. Love it in a coffin match.
all the refs gesturing, no, you've got to get him in here. You've got to get him in the casket.
And it's great. And there's no Michael Cole basically hammering home every 2 seconds. There's no pinfalls. It just happens naturally. And it's really good. True. And so Karma reacts to all of this by putting Undertaker in a rest hold.
Of course.
This match had been going pretty high pace for a while.
And long.
It had been, yeah.
Again, I wasn't expecting this one to go as long. But I was thinking, this is lasting a while, but I'm into it.
And so Karma, whilst holding Undertaker in a chokehold, puts his legs on the second rope, completely legal, no disqualifications, until Paul Bearer grabs Karma's legs and chucks him off the rope, and then does what I could only describe as a Ric Flair strut towards the camera. Paul Bearer bringing absolute straight fire for this match. And then we go back to a very long rest hold.
Yeah.
A very long rest hold until Taker eventually Saito suplexes Karma. And the match picks up again and Taker lands a diving clothesline. And both men fall into the coffin.
Yeah, I thought this was the end of the match. I thought, it's a draw or...
100%. In my opinion, this match is a draw.
I kind of thought that too, because they were both in there and the lid was closed.
Yeah.
But it was all worth it for the good old camera work, because as Karma begins to escape, the cheeky little Undertaker with his little gothic hair and his big old purple gloves grabs Karma and pulls him back into the casket.
Was a cool
which
shot,
looks like it's really on its last legs at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think everyone backstage in the prop department was probably just crossing their fingers, everything. Just, God, please hold together.
Both men escape the coffin and Karma lands a beautiful swinging neck breaker.
Yeah, that took me by surprise, that.
Really comes out of nowhere. And Taker fires back with a choke slam. He lands the tombstone. He puts Karma in the coffin. The bell wings. And he looks absolutely gassed.
As gassed as you can.
As gassed as I am reading through my notes.
Look at DiBiase, he sees it slipping away. Undertaker starting to roll cover. Will he get him in? Will he get him down in the casket? Karma trying to hang on. Will the lid come down? Will the Undertaker shut the lid? Yeah! The winner of the match, The Undertaker! What a matchup! What a grueling matchup for both men!
And it's over. The Undertaker has defeated Karma. He's defeated the $1 Million Stable. What a match, eh?
I have to say, when I was watching it earlier, I didn't love it that much, but talking it back with you guys, I think I've enjoyed it more.
Yeah, that's quite often the way.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Can we score it?
Let's go to the scoring.
Okay, I'm going to score it straight away. Match 3.
Oh, hang on.
3-star match. I've got to say, looking on Grapple, the rating app, it hasn't had loads of ratings. Some of these old ones tend to have like 20 or 30, but the average for this match is something like 1.5. But, you know, I think it's fine for us to get a little bit carried away. It was definitely better than that. 3 for the match. And another 3 for Undertaker, please.
Thank you. Sam, what are your scores?
So I'm going to also say 3 for the match. I thought this was a decent match. I enjoyed it. Undertaker, you know what? I'm also going to give him a 3. I think this was a good performance. I enjoyed this.
Okay, I'll give the match a 3 as well. I'm going to give Taker a 2.5 just so it's not 3s across the board. And because actually I think I was probably more impressed with Karma.
Fair. I think Karma was really good actually in this. I think Paul Bearer was just bringing it this day. He was just smashing it.
So that gives the match an average of 3 and Taker an average of 2.83 recurring.
Thank you, John. And so, finally seeing the back of Ted DiBiase's $1 Million Stable, Undertaker would go on to injure his orbital bone, putting him out of contention for a while.
God, where the hell's your orbital bone?
It's like the bit around your eye.
Yeah.
Oh.
He would later return, complete with a Phantom of the Opera mask for Survivor Series.
Ooh.
Perfect.
And this would see him face off with a dentist yet to turn into a close family relation. 2 kings, but most importantly for the dead man, it would be the first time of many that it was time to play the game.
No way.
But that is a story for another undertaking.
I was going through the SummerSlam card, and I saw on it that Isaac Yankem was on it, and also a very young Hunter Helmsley in the rich boy outfit, like the rich boy gimmick.
Survivor
he
Series.
He beat Bob Holly, didn't he? I can't believe we're about... is it about to get really good?
So we've obviously got the Survivor Series match.
Yeah.
We then have one more match with Mabel.
No fucking way.
for fuck's
do
sake.
it.
It's only
The way
5
you
minutes
said
long.
that.
And then
Just one, guys. Don't worry. Just one
And
more
then-
match
and
with
then-
Mabel.
we kick off 1996 with a 25-minute match against the excellence of Execution himself
Ooh.
Bloody hell.
for the world
Interesting.
title. So, big undertaking next time.
I actually
Yeah.
started watching the main event of SummerSlam, which was actually it wasn't the main event. Was it the main event? Kevin Nash,
Mabel?
versus Kevin Nash. And I started putting it on. I was like,
Diesel.
"What am I doing to myself?" And I just turned it off. I was like, "I'm not doing this. I don't need to watch this. I won't enjoy it. I'm not going to get anything from it."
Oh, dear.
And there we go.
Exciting. Well done, Sam. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks,
Another
Sam.
Lovely episode. So it seems like now, because I keep thinking this when we're watching these little matches, and sometimes they're quite short or they're under 10 minutes, makes it easier for us to make the podcast. We're going to start having some beefy old matches coming up soon. We might even have to have some episodes of The Undertaking, which is just covering one match.
We're getting ever so close to peak Ministry of Dark. Well,
Ministry is
the
my
beginning
favourite phase of
the Ministry of Darkness. So it's all getting quite exciting for the Undertaking.
I'm quite nervous about the Dark Ministry because at the time I fucking loved it, but obviously I haven't really gone back and rewatched it, and I'm a bit worried it won't have aged very well.
I feel like it's been a heck of a journey to get here. Like I feel like we've been reviewing a Ted DiBiase feud for about 5 years.
Yeah,
21 matches deep. Another 100 to go.
I think so.
Isn't it something bad?
I mean, perhaps a better way of putting it, we're 6 years into his career at this point.
Right. Okay.
but one thing to bear in mind is obviously less pay-per-views back then.
So this is the funny thing, is that this is the point when In Your House has just started airing as well, which kind of is but isn't a pay-per-view. It's definitely a bit of a grey area.
Are we counting it as a pay-per-view?
We are, but only because so far I've only seen him having one In Your House match. And it's,
I'm up for that. Sounds like a pay-per-view.
We're
to me.
completionists.
All right. So that was The Undertaking Volume 9. We'll be back doing that again. I mean, the way the calendar's looking, it might not be until 2022. But you never know. We might try and squeeze an extra one in at some
Can I
point
just say,
and
like,
release on an off week.
My 2022 New Year's resolution, we're going to get through...
Finish The Undertaking.
We're going to get through a lot more of The Undertaking.
I was going to say, we can't
Next
finish
year.
it next year, could we?
No,
we can't
no.
finish it, but we're going to
It'll
put
have to
more
be
of a
daily.
dent in it and get more episodes out of it.
Hooray. All right. Well, the next podcast, which will be in 2 weeks' time, which should see the return of Brett, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have to wait and see, is amazingly going to be another quiz. As we mentioned, everything got a little bit sort of squidged up towards the end of the year. We're cut down on the amount of pods we're doing. We had 4 quizzes to get through, so we did the summer quiz. It's now autumn, so we've got to do the autumn quiz before we do the end of year / Christmas quiz in December. So yeah, that's going to come up in a couple of weeks. So look forward to that. John, if people want to suggest questions or even write a whole round for us.
Oh my God, that would be lovely.
How do they get in
so
touch?
you can email us at hardestpartofthering@gmail.com, or you can get us on social media at hardestpartpod.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I hope you're all enjoying The Undertaking, and we'll continue to tune in. And tell your friends. Maybe you've got some friends who used to like wrestling back in the day. They love The Undertaker, hate the product now. They should be listening to The Undertaking for sure.
Do you know what? Even if you don't like Hardest Part of the Ring, there's at least 9 good episodes of it.
Yeah. Have we had that many episodes of Follow the Feud?
Hey.
Thank you for listening. Thank you, Sam, for all your hard work.
Thank you.
And for a lovely episode. Thank you, John, for getting involved, as always, and being a fantastic co-host.
That's so typical. I always used to get the sort of achievements at school was just turning up. That's the only achievements at school I got.
And thank you to me for being truly excellent throughout every single episode. That was the hardest part of the ring.
You can't say that. You made that awful pun earlier.
That is the hardest part of that ring.
For the